No, very rarely. I mean, the only instance we've seen that is where it would seem that the military has not been fair. For instance, when the soldiers were all their emoluments and they protested and then they were sentenced to life imprisonment. That was the only one. That did not look fair in the eyes of the public. That was one.
That was the only one that came to limelight.
The second instance we remembered was, that I remember and I recall, was when soldiers were said to have protested in Maiduguri because they were not properly equipped and they were charged for mutiny. And then they were sentenced to death or to life imprisonment. And people felt that was not fair. But, aside those instances...
those are those ones that you are aware of. Our civil administration.
But we're talking about...
From the Niger Delta.
In the Niger Delta.
Since 2003. Yes. The records are there. So many cases have been... So many officers and soldiers have been dealt with. Even in one day, I had a situation where a major was brought from me for committing an offense because he was posted to one day. I was given the jurisdiction to go ahead. And the man was given 2 years imprisonment. He went to jail. There's no two ways about it. But we don't publicize those things. We don't come out and say, look, we've jailed this person, we've done this, we've done that. It's not, those things are not taken, we don't joke with discipline. Discipline is the basics. If you allow it to go down, too bad. And we have two types of discipline. The self-discipline and the imposed. If you are not self-disciplined, too bad. Discipline will be imposed. And the military does not joke with such things. So it's those that we are aware of that became publicized that you get to know about.
But General, are you not aware of the perception and the thinking that sometimes those soldiers who are posted to the Niger Delta or security personnel on the average who are posted to the Niger Delta are lucky?
Yes, they are lucky. They are lucky because of the societal issues. The same oil companies that complain that these guys are doing this are the same people that lure them. Please provide security to us. And then at a point, the federal government, the states, were virtually paying, double paying, and that was stopped. And over time, a lot of things had happened that you don't get most of those things again. That's why the average soldier prefers to go on UN mission. Because when you go on UN mission, what you are doing in Sudan is virtually the same thing you are doing in Nigeria. But to them, it's better to draw dollars than to depend on 1,000 naira for whatever you do. Because whether you like it or not, the government is going to pay you your dollars. That's the reason. So going to the Niger Delta, it also depends on what you're doing. So it is not virtually everybody that goes to the Niger Delta that's very lucky. What is happening is you hand something extra from your salary because you are in an operation. And then on most occasions you are fed. So your salary is like a saving for you. That's the only advantage you have. And it is happening in all the other operations too. Only that in one side, you are not sure of what is going to happen tomorrow. The Niger Delta is a little bit relaxed. At one point, nobody wants to go to the Niger Delta. 2005, 2006, 2007. People were virtually running away. Not because they don't want to do their job, but it's like, look, I don't know much about swimming. I don't know much about the riverine area. We have to start all over training on riverine operations. And the same thing in the Northeast. We were not conversant with most of the situation in that general area. We're picking people from Lagos, from Ibadan to Maiduguri. This is a foreign area to them. And so we have to retrain on desert warfare and things like that. So a lot of things are happening.
Okay, so I was just wondering then, you have recommended that they set up security outposts, but then how do we ensure that, these security outposts serve the function that they should serve and are not just, decorative houses that just signify security presence?
That is left for the organization that is responsible. One, you are buying trust. And if you are buying trust, you have to do things that will endear you to people. So if you don't give them the opportunity to do their job, how do you now complain that they are not performing? The trust is not there. But you have to find a way of ensuring that the police has their police posts or police stations, and gradually they are allowed to perform their constitutional responsibilities. And over time, people will start knowing, okay, the policeman is there, and you have to make sure that those who erred are sanctioned. If you don't do that, all these things will continue. For how long are we going to have joint task force everywhere? If there is a problem in my village now, you have to take a task force there. So to get to a point where virtually everywhere will be full of joint task forces. And joint task force, like I said, has a mandate and has a time limit. And we always overshoot the time limit. And it is now we are trying to stop all those things.
Well, General, let's quickly go to Lagos now. I guess Chamberlain has a question for you.
Yeah, I've got one question. I'd like to, could you tell us because there are increasing reported cases in the press and elsewhere how military personnel, in some cases both serving and retired, are beginning to be named in cases of illegal bunkering, robbery, kidnapping. What do you think is going on?
What you said is a fact. That one or two bad eggs are beginning to, they've been doing that in the past. But for the past 2 or 3 years, some of these things have gone down a little bit because the military has stepped up its regimentation. And I'm involved in an operation or in a workshop right now for junior officers in Army headquarters. And the civil defense are attending, where we're emphasizing regimentation and duty, the ethics of the profession. So you have to keep on allowing or assisting these guys in developing. If you don't, you have a problem, because those are the guys that are supposed to run the units. The commanders are supposed to provide the administrative setup, but the junior ones are the ones who are actually running the units. So what is happening right now is you want to up the ante by giving these guys the knowledge that is required with the senior NCO so that things could happen. Because without regimentation, you have a soldier who can, maybe somebody is living in Ikeja, for instance, and is working in Lagos Island, or is living in Ojo and working in Lagos Island. He has so much time to move to Lagos and come back. So if he's not disciplined, it's very easy for him to be co-opted by bad gangs. But if the unit is regimented enough to provide some basic things and ensure that his movement is monitored, is controlled, then some of these things will be reduced seriously. And that's what is happening. Yes, in Jos, you may recall the kidnapping of Michael Obi's father, where a soldier was involved. So I'm not denying that some of these things are not happening, but it is true. And that's why I was saying that even from the point of coming in, you want to ensure that those who are interested in the job are actually the ones that are brought in, not those who are just looking for a job. Because the man who is looking for a job is ready to do anything. He can easily be co-opted into any bad thing. But if he's interested in coming in to join the military, it makes it easier for you to be able to train him and keep him focused.
Well, General, that's definitely a very fine place to leave it. Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily. Well, we've been speaking with Major General Garba Wahab, retired, who's a former Director, Operations Army Headquarters and GOC 1 Division and Chief of Army Administration. Sunrise Daily will continue in just a moment. Don't go away.